Hey there, this video we are going to review the chloroplast and the mitochondria. So for this activity, we need to draw and color a chloroplast, and then we need to label 3 parts to our chloroplast: the stroma, the granum, and the thylakoids. So I'm going to draw a picture of our chloroplast to start us off. So it kind of looks like a bean shape right there like that. So I'm just going to label this whole thing. All right, chloroplast right there. And then the stroma, the granum, and the thylakoids. So we know that within a chloroplast, we've got all of these stacks of these circles. Like that. There we go, something like that. So the stroma is actually the fluid filled space that is kind of in the background of the chloroplast. It's very similar to like cytoplasm, but stroma is this fluid filled space inside the chloroplast. The thylakoids are actually each individual disc, right, is a thylakoid, and then a stack of thylakoids is a granum. So stroma is the fluid-filled background, and then we have individual thylakoids, and then a stack of the thylakoids is called a granum. So now we're going to define what a photosystem is. And a photosystem is a cluster of pigments and protein that absorb light energy. So those are our photosystems. So clusters of pigments and proteins that absorb light energy. So the thylakoids, right, the granums, those are our photosystems. Now a pigment is going to be a light absorbing molecule. So when we talk about how photosynthesis occurs in the chloroplast, it occurs because of a pigment that absorbs light, and that's what actually causes the chloroplast to be green. So I could color these in, right? So that pigment, chlorophyll, is what causes photosynthesis to occur because it's absorbing the sunlight. And then last but not least, we have the overall equation for photosynthesis. So first we need our reactants, so that's what goes in, and we need sunlight, which of course I just misspelled sunlight, that makes sense. Sunlight plus carbon dioxide plus water yields glucose plus oxygen. So that is our equation for photosynthesis. Over on the right-hand side, we are going to draw and color a mitochondrion and then label the outer membrane, inner membrane space, and the matrix. So I'm going to kind of make another bean-like structure, and then I'm going to kind of do the same thing again on the inside, right, like that. And then got to draw There we go. Pretty good. I did pretty good there. I'm very proud of myself. So there's my mitochondria. So I can go ahead and just label this whole thing mitochondria. There we go. All right, so outer membrane, I bet you guessed it. It's the outermost part of our mitochondria. It's our outer membrane. Then we have the inner membrane. And then we have the inner membrane space, which is right here. Intermembrane space. And then finally, we have the matrix, which is the very most inside, kind of like inside that little maze on the inside. So outer membrane, inner membrane space, and then the matrix. So our first question is asking us, why is the process occurring in the mitochondria called aerobic respiration? What does aerobic mean? So the process occurring in the mitochondria is called aerobic because oxygen is required, right? Aerobic means with oxygen or in the presence of oxygen. So our overall equation for aerobic respiration, well, I'm definitely going to need oxygen. I also need glucose, yields, carbon dioxide, water, and finally, ATP energy. And if we take a look at our two equations, photosynthesis and respiration, we might notice that the reactance of one is the product of the other. And of course, ATP energy, just like sunlight energy, so just two different forms of energy, but for photosynthesis, I am putting energy into the system as a reactant, getting out my sugar. And then in the mitochondria, I'm putting in sugar for a reactant and gaining energy. So that's it for our notes on the chloroplast and the mitochondria. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know.